Hey there, I am Christy Ruffino, former broke single mom turned CEO of two six-figure businesses and best-selling author with 15 books. But it wasn't always like this. Not long ago, I was a hot mess. Yes, I did a lot of things right, but mostly I was throwing spaghetti on the wall to see what would stick. Fast forward past many failed attempts and a few incredible victories, I not only get to share what I've learned along the way, I get to bring together top influencers as they share their empowering stories, insider secrets, and valuable resources that can be used right now to step into your power. So, if you're an ambitious entrepreneur, or possibly one in the making, and you're looking to create a business and life that lights you up, well, then you're in the right place. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of the Mastery Unleashed podcast. This is Christy Ruffino, and I want to welcome you. You may be a longtime listener, or maybe you are a first-time guest. Either way, I know you're going to love today's show just as much as I did, because today I had the honor of introducing, or I should say, having a conversation with SHERI Mills. SHERI is a functional nutrition, health, and wellness coach with a passion for helping others achieve optimal health. After struggling with her own issues for years, she found no relief from conventional medicine, and then she started to explore alternative options. And she created an amazing transformation in her life through nutrition, supplementation, and medication. She was finally able to improve her health and well-being, and she mentions that she got off 12 prescription drugs. So SHERI has an incredible story, and she has a lot of great strategies that you can apply to your life today. She's also giving a great free gift at the end. So make sure you listen in and go to our gift vault and get SHERI's free resource. So let's get on with the show, and you have a chance to meet SHERI Mills. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of the Mastery Unleashed podcast. I am here with SHERI Mills. Welcome, SHERI.
Hi, Christy. Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, thank you for being here. We've got to know each other quite well over the last few months, and I am just really excited about today's show because you have an incredible story, an incredible gift that you're sharing at the end, and of course, you have a ton of wisdom to share with the audience about how to live better and I think even age better and just be more overall healthy.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I love what you're doing in the world. And I know your story. We've talked about your story a little bit because you're one of the authors in our current Overcoming Mediocrity Epic Women book. But the audience doesn't know your story. So let's start by sharing with them why you're so passionate about what you do.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Christy. My past life, I guess I could say, I mean, my past over 30 years in as a sales executive, and running for that quota and getting that, you're always on a quota attainment and running hard and doing appointments and networking. And I just wasn't taking care of myself. I was working ridiculous hours for years and years and years and didn't take time for self-care or to eat right or anything. And my body fell into complete disrepair. numerous disease states, fibromyalgia, arthritis, visual migraines, restless legs, IBS, high cholesterol. I was a mess. I was losing my hair. My skin was just like breaking open at every time I bumped a water bottle, right? It was crazy. And so my time away from work was spent with all these specialists to find out what was going on with me. And as we all know, no one talks to you about lifestyle and nutrition. And so I just kept pushing through, thought I was stuck like Chuck in this life of misery and pain and discomfort and all these prescription medicines. But about 2 or 3 years ago, I had a light bulb moment. And right when the pandemic was starting to lift, I went to see one of my pharmacy friends, and he introduced me to a tool that can measure your antioxidants, oxidative stress, and so forth in your bodies. And I failed miserably. Unfortunately, most of the country does, because we live in a fast-paced environment where everything has been made simple, fast, convenient, not nutritious, right? So our food sources have really been depleted here. And when I saw my score, it really triggered something in me. So he introduced me to somebody that helped me walk through some lifestyle changes, changing my mindset to myself first, prioritizing myself, eating well, adding more fruits and vegetables, learning how to cook them so I keep the nutrients, losing some of the things that were bad habits like fried foods, fast foods, bread and cheese. And I went on some great supplements, and what I lost 12 prescriptions in my life. My health
Wow.
completely flipped. My cholesterol dropped to lower than it's ever been before. In the last 3 years, I've kept it that way. 38 pounds fell off my body within 3 or 4 months without even trying. It was incredible. So from what I was to what I am now is a complete transformation. So that inspired me to go back to school so I could help others. And I figured if I could flip the switch on my health at 60, I can help others do it in their midlives. And that's what I focus on, is helping people release chronic pain and illness. And in the course of that, maybe some medications and some weight along the way, right? And seeing these people transform themselves is just such a joy. And it's just a passion of mine.
Wow, that's incredible. That 12 prescriptions.
Yeah.
Wow, wow. And that's
I've never gone back on any of them. It's lovely.
good for you. Because, once you start down that road, it's a slippery slope, because then you get side effects, and then you need another drug for the side effect for that drug. And then it just seems to be this big, complicated prescription mess. And then, of course, the doctors don't always talk to each other, and there's a lot of overlap. And then you just don't feel good. And most importantly, your body's not allowed to do what it's designed to do.
That's true, because the medicines mask the problems. Some, I'm not saying all of them are bad, right? There are some that are needed.
Absolutely.
But there
Absolutely.
are also some disease states that can be completely reversed by just living healthier.
Yeah.
Changing your mindset to food, eating healthy, well balanced meals, and eating the right foods at the right time of the day. So a lot of that is that simple. And so if you're diabetic, or if you're overweight, or if you have heart disease, a lot of it has to do with the inflammation in our bodies. And if we can find a way to release that through balancing our diet and changing our lifestyle and prioritizing our own health, then you can lose a lot of those disease states. You can walk out of them and free yourself.
I like how you said that, to prioritize our health, because I think a lot of people know what they should do, or know they should make some sort of change, but they don't necessarily have it be important, and until it's too late, right? When it's too late, when you have these terrible diseases, sometimes they can be avoided. So I think prioritization is like the key to all this, because we will take care of our families as women, right? We want our families to be healthy, and we prioritize other things, but our health is something that once it's gone, we can never get it back.
That's true. Once you've gone down the road really heavy, right? But a lot
Yes.
of times it can be reversed. So don't wait, right?
Right.
But I have found talking to multiple people that, especially women, because we've been raised to take care of everybody. So we don't prioritize ourselves.
Correct.
And I've found so many people that don't think that they're worthy of taking care of themselves. And I believe I was probably one of those people at one point, right? Because I just, as no matter how many tests I had done and all of this stuff, nobody could tell me what was wrong with me. It was crazy. And by turning into myself and listening to my body and spending time on me and prioritizing my health, it turned into a really fun adventure. It doesn't have to be crazy and hard, but I'm such a more happy person. I always was on the outside, but I wasn't on the inside, if that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So I think one of the biggest things when I work with people is getting their mindset right, making them understand that you are important, you are worthy of taking care of yourself. It's not all about everybody else.
Right. Right. Well, you know what, Sherry, thank you for sharing your story. We're going to take a quick break because I have a ton of questions I want to ask you. And there's all these things you're talking about that I want to dive in. But if I do that now, we won't have time later. So let's take a quick break. And then we'll be right back. Hang tight, everybody. And we will be back with Sherri Mills about helping you live well with food made simple. You know what I learned about story? No matter how confident you are or how scared you are about sharing your story, you're never going to realize the power your story has on others until you share it. Hi, my name is Christy Rufino, and I've been helping women and a few men share their stories for almost 12 years. And what I'm so excited about is now I've taken my proven formula and combined it with AI. And I have a workshop coming up in just a few weeks that's going to walk you step by step to writing your signature story. So, whether you just want to share your story to leave a bigger legacy in the world, or you want to leverage it to build your business brand, attract your ideal clients, and use it as your powerful message in the world, join me for my story writing workshop where I am going to really, it's a hands-on 4-hour experience where you're going to walk away with your story written. As long as you bring your computer, an open mind, and a dedication to getting your story out in the world, we're going to make it happen. Just go to activatemystory.com to get your tickets today. Welcome back, everybody. This is Christy and Sherri Mills, and we are talking about living healthier and making ourselves a priority. And I kind of want to start with a question for you, Sherri, because there's somebody I know who doesn't necessarily make the right decisions with her food choices, yet she believes that she's too busy to make changes. And but yet at a certain point, and there's all these like things that are happening with her, but at a certain point, it's gonna the problems are gonna get bigger. So does it take a lot of time to get healthier?
Absolutely not. And one thing I pride myself in is everybody has busy calendars and they all look different, just like every individual looks different. Everybody needs different things. So that's why I personalize all my plans, because when I work with somebody, I want them to be successful, right? So when I look at your calendar and your busy schedule, I tried number one, we talk about what do you do now? What do you do for yourself and when do you do it? And then we look at the calendar and then I don't see any of that. I'm like, why isn't it on here? I know I put everything on my calendar, it doesn't happen. So to not lose time and not waste time, let's look at when you can have space for yourself in your days. And then let's look at that space and that time and how can we make it really valuable to you. And a lot of it is just mindset work. It's sitting still and quiet away from the craziness of the family and work, listening to your body. And a lot of times different things will come up. It could be a pain, it could be an ache, it could be an upset stomach, it could be, oh, I think I'm getting a headache, or it could be an emotion. It could be a stressor. So let's talk about that. Let's find out what is driving those issues so we can calm those effects so that you feel good when you're listening clearly to yourself. And I have my folks journal about a lot of things, right? Their hopes, their dreams, where they are now, where they see themselves if they don't make change, what could happen if they do, right? I make them think. And I want them to tell me what they eat, when they eat, and why. Like you said, your friend's making bad choices. So when you make them write it down and they have to tell you why they did that,
Yeah, that makes it concrete.
mm-hmm, they start waking up to, okay, and owning, okay, I'm in this place now. And nobody did it but me, And so now we know where we're going from. We have an understanding, we own it. Now we can make changes moving forward to do better for ourselves.
I think a lot of the problem is, and tell me if I'm wrong, but up until maybe like the last 5 or 10 years, we didn't look at food as much from the nutritional aspect that we do now. It was different. Like we had the chart, like the triangle of what's good in your food and what you should have. But I know when I was raising my kids, things were, we ate out of boxes, we ate out of cans, and macaroni and cheese, rice-a-roni, like all of this stuff that's processed. And
Yeah,
McDonald's, my gosh, McDonald's was part of my children's formative years, and now we know how bad all of that stuff is. Yet it's been so ingrained in so many of the prior generations that it's hard to shift that thinking around that.
absolutely. I know when I was raised, my mom always tried to make a balanced meal. So we'd have a protein and we'd have a
A
starch and we'd have
starch.
a vegetable.
Uh-huh.
But most of it came out of a can
Can, yeah, vegetables from
and they
can.
boiled it to death.
Oh,
I remember my brother and I hated Brussels sprouts. We hated spinach. We hated all this
yeah.
stuff because it had no
It was
flavor. It was
gross. Yeah.
boiled to death. It was, yeah. Now they're like
Oh,
our
I
favorite veggies,
I
right?
still have nightmares about creamed corn.
Yeah. Or cream spinach. I mean, it was just,
Oh,
and if it comes out of a can in a box, stay away from it, right?
pretty
Because
much. Yeah.
it's got so many additives and preservatives and things you can't pronounce to try to preserve it, right? So it can sit on your shelf forever. Um, Not good. Not good. So, I teach people how to shop, how to read labels, um, enjoy themselves, make outings out of fun days on their weekends. Take your family or your friends, make a day of it, go to a farmer's market, enjoy yourself. Pick out some things you've never eaten before, and let's learn how to cook them so you enjoy them. So I try to make it fun along the way too. So their whole experience with food is different. They learn to enjoy dinner time together, cooking together, preparing together, make it fun. Don't do it in front of the TV. Go into the dining room, sit down, light a candle, enjoy yourself, put on some good music and enjoy your company and your food. It makes
Right.
a whole difference on how you look at how you eat. And there are, like you mentioned, McDonald's, right? Um, I've got a whole list of fast food restaurants that have healthy choices. So if you do have to go through a drive-through because there's just no other time, don't eat to fuel yourself because you're hungry. Eat to heal yourself. You can still do that in some of these places.
Let's talk about sugar. sugar
Okay.
sugar is a big thing. And they've done studies how if they have rats that are addicted to cocaine and sugar, they'll give up the cocaine for the sugar. Like sugar is more addictive than cocaine. And that's crazy how as a society sugar is in everything, yet
It
it's
is.
so bad for us.
Processed sugar is the worst. I always try to give some substitutes to my folks and how they can measure. So if you're measuring something with sugar that's a cup, what does it look like if it's monk fruit? What does it look like if it's something else, right? Or if it's agave, or there are natural sources out there that aren't as bad for you as processed sugar. And sugar is so addictive. Like you said, and it causes cravings. It turns people into emotional eaters.
Yes.
Um, first thing somebody feels when they're depressed or they're stressed out is they go for the ice cream. They go for the cookies and the cakes and the bagels and all the stuff that we don't really need on a daily basis, right? It's okay to cheat occasionally, but I'm not saying you can't have a birthday cake, right? But be smart about it. It's when your body starts healing, you find it's so much easier to stay away from these things.
Yeah, because you lose a lot of the cravings.
You do. You lose the cravings. And when you do make mistakes and go back to it, your body will retaliate. And then you'll
Yeah.
realize, well, you know what? It didn't really like me eating that. And it
Yeah.
wasn't that delicious.
Right. It
I don't
wasn't.
really need it.
Yeah. I've
Because
I've
I
found that
remember
as
one
well.
time I wanted fish and chips. There's a place around the corner that makes the best fish and chips. And I was about 3 or 4 months into my journey. And I said, I'm going to treat myself. Okay. So that was the wrong way to look at it to start with, right? I'm going to treat myself to fish and chips. Well, that treat turned into a disaster for about a week with my body.
Oh boy.
Oh, yeah. It didn't like it. It retaliated right back. So no more fish and chips.
Oh
And I don't miss them. I know I don't want to feel like that again. Right. So
no. Yeah. So a lot of this is our habits. So you mentioned that a couple times. How do we create new habits? Like when we're kind of being pulled in a direction that we know we shouldn't be pulled in, like what can we do to like kind of flip the switch on that habit?
so once you start making mindful choices for yourself, right? You're taking time for yourself in space, quiet, to manifest, to read, to meditate, to listen to your body, to journal. That starts being something you look forward to every day. So that's an easier habit to jump into. It's work in the beginning because you're not used to doing it. Um, and then you can add in other things. And I don't tell everybody you have to change your life today, right? There's a way to implement small things along the way. So it's not a hard, scary, overwhelming thing, right? And I mean, let's take this away from you. Let's take sugar for a month and let's try to cut down on fried foods, right? And then let's add your mindfulness in. And then what kind of exercise do you like doing? If you don't like exercise, what could we add into it? Maybe a little yoga or stretching, maybe a walk around the block after dinner, go to the park a
Mm,
couple times a week and just walk in nature.
yeah, get
And
outside. It's a
yeah,
key. Yeah.
it's amazing how much nature will heal you mentally and create focus so that you're on the right path. A lot of people say that, but so many people will say and believe it, but they actually don't do it. It's just like you were saying, we all know what to do. We all know how to eat. We all know what we're supposed to do, but we don't do it. And that's where a coach comes into play, right? Someone that's going to be there to hold your hand, to guide you and celebrate those wins and motivate. Because I know when changes started happening in my body, women can be petty. And I had girlfriends that were jealous, and all of a sudden they started backing away from our friendship. That's silly. It's
Yeah.
silly because I made better choices for myself. It intimidates you. Don't let it intimidate
Because it's
anybody
a
else.
mirror,
Don't get,
right? Because then they
yeah,
have to look at themselves and face the fact that
exactly.
they're not changing. Yeah.
So, sometimes it's hard to have those friends and those family members be your support system because, they may have a bad day and come home with cookies and cakes and you're trying to behave yourself. It's very hard to have the people closest to you be your support. It's nice if they will. And I try to get other family members on board if they're living in the same house. Um, but it's really nice to have that outside force that's making it accountable for you.
So let's talk about that inside influence, because what if you've made a decision to create all these changes, yet the rest of your family or the rest of the people in your household are not? And, they're ordering pizzas and there's, baking all the time and there's bowls of candy sitting out and there's all of these things around you And then you start to think, well, it's not that bad. You know, it's that your influence is a key piece to the success of this.
Absolutely. So I mean, if I'm working one-on-one with somebody, I try to have a conversation with the family with them, because in most cases, they have an issue, a health issue, and it's not going to get any better if they're just catering to the rest of the family and not taking care of themselves. So sometimes it has to be a hard conversation with the family saying, don't you want to see your mom or your wife feel, look, and be better?
And healthier, yeah.
Don't you want them to be healthier? Don't you want to not have to always be worried about if you're having ice cream because she's diabetic or, whatever? Can you play a part? It won't kill you to eat a little healthier, would it? Because sometimes you have to be a little hard with them. I have one friend that's she's stage 3 kidney failure.
Oh boy.
And her husband's borderline diabetic. So they both can benefit from making some tweaks in their diet and their
Absolutely.
lifestyle. But it's, sometimes you have to take a hard road with these folks and say, like I did with her, she's not motivated for change. I'm like, why not? What's the alternative?
Right.
Sometimes you have to take that hard road with them because you're there to support them and help them. And that's where, again, the mindset is so important.
And making it fun, because we know how hard change is. I mean, it's very easy to say we're going to create a change, but look how many, New Year's resolutions just fall by the wayside. And I mean, there are studies about people that have been diagnosed with some sort of like cancer or something, and they're still not making changes, or diagnosed with, some very dangerous problem, but they still don't make changes. So isn't that where fun comes into play?
Absolutely. I try to make it fun and enjoyable for them. And I talked to a lot of people, and one of the ladies that I talked to in the last couple of days has a specialized, I call it like unique disease. And it doesn't let her release weight. She can't eat anything. She's living in misery and she's about ready to give up. She's even in a support group for this particular ailment. And she said most of the people are on disability because of it, and they don't want to improve themselves, right? They want to stay on disability and take pills, and she's willing to make change. And that is so important, to own it and want to do something about it and take care of yourself. So many people give up and they just don't try anything different.
Right.
Or they try to make some small changes on their own, but it's not fun. And it's, like we were talking about, the support of a family. It's so imperative. You really have to want to own where you are and be better. I talk about my bucket list all the time. I had a long one, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to go do any of those things because of my state of health. But now I'm filling out my bucket list, and I'm looking forward to actually participating in it, right?
Oh,
Because
good for you.
yeah, because now I have the joy and the vitality and the want and desire. And when people go through these changes, it really does impact their lives. And I have a couple clients that will never go back to red meat. They'll never go back to drinking. I mean, they've taken, one's almost a vegan. I mean, that's not what I teach people, but everybody goes on with their own journey, after my program, that gives them the opportunity to expand on that healthy life.
Right.
I
Right.
still get pictures all the time on what they're eating and when they're traveling, and
Oh,
and
nice.
it's fun to see, right? That they're still going on. And I'll still make a comment if I see something on the table I don't like. I
Good
have
for
fun with it,
you.
right? Yeah.
Good for you. Well, so you have this anti-inflammatory guide, because I know, inflammation is a big piece to this.
Oh
I
yeah.
know, in my family, my mom had a lot of different diseases that were all from autoimmune and inflammation in our body. And so I think that's a key piece to this whole puzzle, is making sure that things that we're eating are not just around weight, but it's around making sure our cells are healthy and being fed.
Absolutely. And by losing the inflammation and trying to eat a diet rich in antioxidant rich foods will help release that inflammation. And that's what happened to me, right? So when the inflammation released, I wasn't looking at what I was doing as to lose weight. I hadn't been able to lose weight in 20 years. But within 6 weeks, 38 pounds fell off of me. And I've kept it off for 2 years.
That's a lot.
But that's because the inflammation was released from my body.
Okay.
So all that pain and discomfort and joint aches and, muscle pain, all that stuff went away. So it's amazing once our bodies start healing, and it takes a few months to get there, to start seeing those results really add up. I want to say it was probably close to 6 months before I really felt like a new person.
Okay.
It was probably 3 months before I really started seeing and feeling and recognizing medically the difference. And I think it was my 4th month when the weight just fell off.
Okay.
And so it does take time. We didn't put our bodies in this disrepair overnight. I get people all the
of course.
time.
And that's exactly a key piece to this. This is years and years and years of accumulated bad habits.
Abuse.
Yeah, basically abuse.
Yes. So, I have people come up all the time and they'll say, how can I lose weight fast? I'm like, you didn't get like this overnight. It's not going to go away by tomorrow. So it's a process. So I educate, support, and plan and walk the walk with them. And what that does is they're slowly building into a new lifestyle that's sustainable. And that's what's important.
So can you talk a little bit about this guide? Because we are definitely running out of time. Okay. I want to make sure that we let the audience know what you're sharing with them.
Okay. So as far as diet for people, I don't like the word diet. I use it because it's just an easy word, but it's really nutritional intake. So once you start making changes in your nutritional intake daily, you'll start seeing and feeling the difference. Your body will sometimes retaliate the first couple of weeks, but over time, while it's healing, you'll start sleeping better. You'll get up and have more energy. It's all about what we eat, how we eat it, how we cook it. And we want to enjoy that process. So I try to have fun with my folks, to have that be a fun journey, right? I want you to enjoy how to cook. Some people say, I never cook. Well, you will love to cook when we're done.
So is that what's in this anti-inflammatory guide?
So what's in the anti-inflammatory guide is it teaches you what inflammation is.
Okay,
and if it's not addressed, what can happen, what disease states that you can fall into, and how it's important to build up your immune system. It's got a lot of anti-inflammatory recipes in there. And, it's just an education tool and recipes to help you get started on that journey.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much. We will be putting that in our gift vault. And I want to thank you, Sheri, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's been fun.
Awesome. Well, if you listened to this show today and learned anything from Sheri, please share it with those you love, because we all know that the more we share information, the more we retain it ourselves. And of course, it's going to help them. And if you like our show, please go to whatever platform you listen and show us some love. And you can get the links to connect with Sheri in the show notes below, as well as the link to get her anti-inflammatory guide. What that's going to do, it's going to take you to our gift vault, where you can download her gift, as well as many other gifts that we've accumulated over the last 2 years. So there's a lot of great resources in there. And of course, I know Sheri has a lot of great resources on her website. So thanks everybody for joining us today. And most importantly, Sheri, thank you.
Thank you, Christy.
Thanks for listening to the Mastery Unleashed podcast. where we believe that everyone can have the business and life of their dreams by turning their mess into their greatest message and following their purpose to help the people who need their newfound wisdom and resources. To learn more, visit masteryunleashedpodcast.com. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review to this show.